Alright, in this other series of videos I'm going to do for my Cobra and Tray Performance short block build, I've pulled my bolts out from the main caps, and they're stock style bolts. He probably reused. They're good hardware. There's nothing wrong with these, they're in good shape, but I went ahead and purchased higher clamping load force ARPs, and of course the Moroso girdle for the main caps. So I've got them pulled, and I pulled my caps and checked everything under there, and the build looks really good as far as that goes. And then you can also see that these caps were painted and numbered. The rod caps were painted and numbered, and also ARP fasteners used. If you can see that, get that in there. Kind of make it out. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, and so my thing was I wanted to go ahead and add the girdle to the engine so that I had that little bit of extra protection and peace. This was $198 from Summit, and it's a cheap security that if the block lets go at high RPM, that the crank and everything stays in one, and then I can take it apart and hopefully salvage most of it and get a better block. So I'm hoping I won't have to get to that point, but I talked about in other videos where what this girdle does is these caps under load in this high RPM spinning, I'm going to have a 28 ounce balancer on the flywheel here, and I've got a 28 ounce balancer for here, and I made another video about that because I switched out a 50 ounce balancer for a 28, and I maintained the actual dampener, but I just switched out the weight that's in the back of it, and then put some thread locker on there and put it back together, and there's another video on that. But so when this engine's spinning quickly, these caps will what they call walk. It'll start to twist under load, and they'll walk off their mounts because the clamping force that's being applied from the bolt from here down. If you can think like mechanically, those threads are squeezing that bolt down. It allows flex because there's no support laterally across the crankshaft. And so what we're going to do to support this caps a little more and to create a better, stronger bottom end. I've heard this doesn't actually strengthen the bottom end. There's many people have had their opinions on it, and maybe it doesn't strengthen them, but it stops cap walk. And there's many engines running these, and I've seen fewer let go with these on there than I have without them. So if this engine is spinning and I've got this in place, I feel like I'm gonna have that little bit of peace of mind. And it's a cheap insurance. I don't believe in the cost of an engine build. This is actually something that I would skimp on, but everybody has their opinions on it. So I pre-lubed, since I only got one hand, used ARP. I've got ARP bolts. I've got the washers on them. Let me see if I can get zoomed in there. You can kind of see the ARP on the end there, but so, I got clean work surface to work from. I put down some packing paper, and I got clean sheets, so I can just toss them in the trash and put down a clean sheet every time I do a build, and I'm not carrying any debris into the engine and introducing any, I'm in the Air Force, and we call it foreign object debris, or FOB. FOD. FOD. I'm going to catch flack for that one. FOD, foreign object debris, and FOD in an engine, FOD in an aircraft can destroy engines. It can kill the crew, and I fly, so I do not want that in my engine when I'm flying. So I don't want it in my engine when I'm building a car. So I'm going to throw these in here, and line this up. I've already, like I said, I pre-lubed the bolts. I want to make sure everything is lined up before I start tightening anything, because I don't want to get any twisting in there. Everything to drop right in. And I know these videos could be shortened up, but I know when I'm watching a video, I want to see somebody building something. If I'm watching a video on like Horsepower TV or the old Spike TV Horsepower channel, you know, the Power Block on Saturdays, you know, they call them parts pimps, and they you know, they talk so much about the parts, but they don't really do any building. And so this video is more about the builds. So I am putting this bad boy together. Now I will stop it here in a second and torque all of these to the manufacturer actually is a 65 foot-pounds for spec to do the bolts, but these are ARPs, and I'm running ARP Moly Lube. It comes, I have actually a tube of it from a previous engine build, and I've got more of it for my head bolts. But these are going to be torqued to 70 foot-pounds according to ARP when I called them. Now it does say 65 even for these bolts. These went right in. The machine surfaces are perfect. This is a Moroso, and I believe this is a copy of another one on their website. They have the tray that goes over here, the windage tray, and it bolts to the same location as it does on the other brand. I'll have to dig into my books. I can't remember the brand's name. But if you do a little research, you'll see price comparison. Just go to Summit, and you'll find that these actually are the same ones from two separate companies. And this one's a little snugger. I'll have to get on that one a little bit with a wrench. And so, yeah, so these are all lined up. They fell right in. They tightened. They snugged right down by hand tightening. Everything feels real good, smooth. And there is the install of a girdle on a 302 block, and it's a 347 stroke. So when that stroke gets kind of crazy and deep, another thing you can see by an engine when it's stroked, it's the piston sits a little bit outside of the cylinder, and then it's relieved right here. So if you ever pull an oil pan and you're looking for whether your engine's stroked or not, if you're doing an inspection and buying a car, you can actually look for these notches. You can look for aftermarket crank numbers. This one is the 50624. This is the Scat one, and you'll see these on a. I also used a small camera, stuck it up in my last engine, and was able to see I had a 302 crank from a car that I bought. Was told it was a 347. So that was some bad news for me, because that's why you should always inspect your cars before you buy them. I was going through a broker, and I believe the broker, and he was nothing more than a shady two-bit car salesman. But that's all in the past, and financially I came out on top. I won't get on all that, but anyway, there's the girdle. This is the Moroso brand. The other thing, while I've got this video going, is, if you'll bear with me, I have some other parts. I was told this will work with a stock oil pan, and I'm about to verify that. I bought a stock style, and this is the less expensive pan from Dorman. It came under the part brand name of AM American Muscle brand. The American Muscle is that website you can get all those Mustang parts and stuff from. They shipped it really quickly. You can see this Dorman oil pan is really, really clean. Nice paint job. There's no dripping. It's a little dusty from being in the box. I'll wipe it down before I put it on there, but I just wanted to make sure this thing's going to fit. So it comes with a bolt. Some of the ones I looked at on Summit were boltless, and you had to buy the bolt to plug the hole for the oil level in the Fox bodies. I'm not going to use that, so I wanted that closed up. So I have, let's see, my oil pump will go on this side. So let me set this down. And before I bolt it all up, I'll clean that out. But awesome. We are perfect. All right, so I got my holes lined up. All the holes lined up. I know I don't have my gaskets on, my seals on, but I just wanted to see, make sure everything's buttoned up. So there you go. This is Dorman. Let me go back a little bit here. I'm off a little bit. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Because I have to get timing cover on there. So you can see that all those holes line up perfect. There's nothing stopping the pan from sitting on there. So that's verification that you can run a girdle on a 302 with a Dorman pan. It's just a 5-quart pan. It's a street engine. This is the Fox body style with the front. It's rear sump, but it's front pump and has that dip in there for the K-member. But I'm not worried about all that, but I am worried about this going into a Cobra kit car. So I wanted to make sure I was using Fox parts because a lot of the kit car uses the Fox body parts. So I've got things set up to check the once I get it torqued down, I'm going to check the crankshaft's in play, and I will zero. If you can see that, let me focus here. There we go. So I will zero eyes my in play like that, and you make sure this thing doesn't rock any, and then I can check in play after I torque all my bolts down on the girdle to 70 foot-pounds. 65 is stock, but ARP says 70 with their Moly lube, and that's what I'm going to use. So there you have it. Quick video. I don't think that was too painful. We threw on we checked, and we have a 302 block with a 347 stroke. The oil pan fits over a next fit will have to be the oil pump, but the oil pump is sitting right in there. But we verified that we have a good oil pan from Dorman, and that part number for you guys who are actually want to copy this build or maybe get some similar parts. That's the 264006 oil pan from Dorman, and I got this for like $50. It's a $50 oil pan. I didn't pay $200-300 for an oil pan on an engine who's going to see street duty. I just think that's, I mean, it looks cool to spend the extra money and get the sump, and if you're racing, great, but that's just not what I was too worried about. So to sum up, we've got the 302 block with a 347 crank. It's a 3.4 stroke. I am going to probably have to clearance this a little bit because I'm going to have to spin this. So just be wary that this might actually hit here and here. I was told that might happen. And I'll spin it a couple times. I'll have to take some metal out of this and make sure everything clears. But you will have to clear these. It looks like, unless it's in the. Let's see. Maybe not. Maybe not. Let me check this here. All right. So I think it might clear. So, because this is going to be on the downstroke. I thought for sure they said it was going to clear, but if this, I'm going to turn it over and I'll let you guys know. I'm going to make a lot more videos, but just something to be watching if you're doing these builds. Just pay attention to everything. Again, like I said in a previous video, I'm a novice builder, and I'm kind of going along with this and trying to video record it, so it's adding a little time. But just make sure as you go along, you're making sure your clearances are good on everything, and especially parts that are untested. Another thing is, I noticed these caps, they've cleared them here. So there's clearancing right here on the caps, and they look fine. They're plenty clear of that. And then you can see back here, there's clearance. So they clearance the caps. I just need to make sure I can rotate the assembly. I got to get a good wrench on here. I got a crank wrench, and I'll spin this once I tighten it down. I don't want to have these things walk and mess up my bearings or anything. So I'm going to get these torqued down. I'm going to check this out and then spin it over and see if I need to clearance anything. But we do know that the Dorman oil pan fits over a girdle from Moroso and other brands that are similar to these. And there you have it. Thanks for watching my videos. I got another one coming soon.